Hey, my loves. So I'm gonna hop on here. I'm really just in a flow. I might be done with this in a minute. I was just on my last podcast and I made a statement in there saying, for a lot of you, instead of watching these tarot readings to find out how your love interest feels, you really should be on the phone with them. I'm coming for you in a space of love. And one of the things I was talking about, this is like my third podcast tonight. It is now 6 o'clock in the morning. But when you talk about spirit, being in the spirit, and even one of the podcasts I did, I had uploaded 3 times, but the message came out so much more beautiful than the other 2 I had posted. This is the space I'm coming from. One of the things I said in one of those podcasts was 99% of these messages, with the exception of the last one being more, me trying to document my journey of how I transitioned from viewing my ex as a karmic to a catalyst. 99% of these podcasts are for you. And when I say for you, I mean for me. Somewhere in the deep depths of the back of my mind, I somehow see the baby me, and I see me as a baby. I see me as, in my youth when I was starting to formulate ideas of what dating meant. And I see myself at the infantry of my last relationship. And I'm speaking to her to help her so that she doesn't have to go through the things that I did. One of the things about, like I said, I say over and over because I don't know who listens to what message. But on this divine journey with our natal chart, we have our lessons that we are destined to learn. You are going to learn them. I put that on everything I love. I have lived it. Whatever is in your natal chart, you are going to learn those lessons. I have lived it. And because I've had my natal chart done, I can see it. The difference between how you learn those lessons is you're going to either be aware of it through awareness. You're going to have a mentor that's going to help you to cope with it and get through it faster and quicker, or you're going to experience it. So my contribution to this conscious collective is to help with the awareness. And what I was talking about when I was talking my last podcast was like, if I had to tell me anything over again to my last relationship, do I wish it had worked out? Yes. What would I have done differently? Well, with my ex, I thought it was my divine masculine. So what was happening is I would watch a lot of tarot readings, and I would watch to see how he was feeling, what energy was he in. But at the end of the day, I should have been on the phone with him. And when I talk about karmic relationships, the point I keep wanting to drive home is if you are stagnant and there's no growth and you just can't seem to push past to where you can come into union, it's like that's a red flag, and you need to work expeditiously to fix that. I'm just talking to myself back then, right? Because if you just can't seem to come into union and you are having to check to see do an energy check on him. I'm going to encourage you very strongly to pay attention to the type of conversations with him, because you should be able to ask him directly what he's feeling. And that's what part of being a feminine is. Allowing your masculine to express. So here we are, throwing our feminine energy into readings, listening into readings with other women when your divine masculine needs you. And that space of tapping into how he feels should be with him and unique to him. Because another thing with these tarot readings is that it's a part of the collective. And if it's anything I'm learning about this journey and about natal charts and how unique they are, that they are our fingerprint, and they will tell you, take what resonates, take what doesn't resonate. And they're reading cards, and as a whole, are there themes that we go through? Yes. It's like all of us are going through COVID right now. All of us are going through what that means in our life. But at the end of the day, my fingerprint is different. You know, right down to where I live, who's in my circle right now, how it affected my job, how I make my income. It's different for all of us, right? So your divine masculine has his own fingerprint of how he feels. And instead of going to a congregation where you're listening to a pastor and everybody else talk about what this experience should feel like, and you're not going directly to Jesus himself, it's like, that's basically what we're doing. We're going to the Church of Tarot instead of being in a relationship with divine source ourselves. That's exactly what we're doing. And it's funny to me how I'm in the flow right now, and I know this is the right message. You are going to the Church of Tarot, and you're not even tapping into divine source. You're not even tapping into your divine masculine. And that's why you're stagnant. I put that on God. That's just funny. That's the irony. Take it for the language that it is. I put that on God. When I think about church, you know, it's just like these tarot reading things where all of the women go in there and we're all sharing our experiences about it. He did this, he did that, he's with this karmic. I'm in separation for 3 and 6 months from him. I haven't talked to my baby and like whatever. And I love him, and you're spitting all of this stuff out into the ethers. But your divine masculine, you're there to be complementary to what he's going through. So he's very much in a logical headspace. I am confident to say that you're there to help them balance, okay? You're there to help them balance the emotional side. So you caring about him and how he feels, you need to express that. And if you're familiar with my journey, you're seeing how I'm learning the lesson. One of my biggest regrets with my ex is I wasn't able to express to him how much I loved him. And the person he's with now, she speaks to his heart space. I'm telling you what I would have done differently to get to his heart space so that we wouldn't have been in the toxicity, been in the stagnant phase of not coming into union for way too long. Because when I think about you going to church, it's like everybody's in their feelings, and the pastor is the tarot reader, and they're telling you, God loves you. And he wants to be in a relationship with you. and we worship at a relationship, and you will leave church, but you will never, rarely tap into divine source and co-create and manifest with him. Go to church and miss out on the whole relationship with divine source himself. And you see everybody else singing and praising. And talking about their relationship, and you haven't tapped in for yourself. Your divine masculine needs you, and you are going to have to figure out what it means to be feminine. I've talked a little bit about in my previous podcast about the ghosting and the blocking. On another podcast, I talked about the emotional diarrhea and the emotional vomiting that I did. You're going to have to pay attention to what it is that you're doing to repel your masculine. Just because you're emotional doesn't mean you dump all of your emotions on them. If you're dealing with a Pisces male, you cannot dump all of your emotions on them. But they are very emotional and sentimental. And I had to learn what the balance of that meant. And I've told you over and over before, the more I mastered it, the more we were able to come together towards the end. But the reason I know he was my catalyst was because we had a tower moment. But if you are in this relationship and you think that there's something worth salvaging and you think you want to give it a fight, this is what the fight is going to look like for you. You're going to have to stop with the idea that just because as soon as you feel something, you dump it onto your masculine. Don't do that. Step back. Think about what it is that you want to tell him. Think about what it's going to mean for his divine path. Think about what it means for you to be authentic and true to yourself in terms of expressing what you want. I talk a lot about how, if you think about how you would talk to your baby and how you're talking to your divine masculine, you would do it differently. I want you to think about balancing yourself before you reach out to him to find out what it is that he's feeling. And I want you to think about, have you really listened to him? And I want you to think about planting a seed. It's funny how I'm looking at something right now, like I'm talking to you, like I feel like you're right next door to me and I'm talking to you. It's so funny. But I want you to think about listening, because masculine is speaking, right? And sometimes he's gonna tell you a bunch of everything and not tell you anything. Divine feminine is listening, and then listening to his heart space. I'm pushing for my divine feminines. If you are feeling like things are stagnant and you've been in separation, the next time he comes around, and I'm saying the next time he comes around, don't chase him. I'm not giving you permission to chase. From a former chaser to you, I'm not giving you the green light to chase him. I used to be a chaser, and I'm doing a lot of the inner work. And when I meet my divine masculine, I'm gonna fine-tune what it means to not chase. But I'm telling you, as someone who used to chase, take this time, the separation, to heal and think about how you want to come across to them. And think about, because I know it's going to happen. You're in separation and you have a lot of pent up emotions, and you want to tell him how much you love him and verbally dump on him. And it's a lot. And I'm speaking to the Pisces in their natal chart. And I want you to think about how much of that divine masculine can take on their electrical grid work, right? We're talking about frequency. So when you look at like a solar panel, or when you look at an electrical grid and you throw water or emotions onto the electrical grid, it's going to short circuit. So what is it going to look like for you to communicate with your masculine to either alchemize the situation, to add healing to the situation, to bring restoration to the relationship? And what is it going to mean to nurture it? Because what happens is, you repel them, you're out of your feminine energy, you haven't balanced yourself, and now you're throwing him off balance. And the next time he comes around, you dump everything onto him, and he short circuits and he takes off again. So that means you're going to have to scale back and figure out what you want to give birth to. Most women give birth to one child at a time. Sometimes some of you will have multiples, okay? But for the most part, a woman gives birth to one thing at a time. So you need to think about, what is it that it's going to take for me to share just enough and give just enough nutrients to where that relationship is. And think about the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is small, and it's just enough to give what her baby needs for it to continue to grow slowly over 9 months. I'm such in a flow right now. I love it. Let's get it. Okay. Think about the umbilical cord of the communication that you're going to have with your divine masculine right now, because whether this baby is going to make it to full term, or if it's going to be a early birth, a premature birth, where the baby may or may not make it, or whether it's going to be a miscarriage, is going to depend a lot on your self-care and the umbilical cord of the nutrients that you're giving to it. The umbilical cord is small, and it gives just enough to let it grow the eyes and the heart and the lungs and the fingernails, right? So the next time he comes around, as much as you want to dump on him and toss him with, and have him eating as soon as he's born, no, you've got to start off with baby milk, with the breast milk. And then you can start to give him. I have one of my good friends has her baby. He's about 9 months old right now, and she's starting to put him on the baby food and the puree. But up until that point, she had to focus on formula, breast milk, making sure that she's taking all of the nutrients and supplements she needs so that he can get all the calcium he needs. She didn't start that baby eating carrots and eating a sandwich and eating macaroni and cheese. But that's what we're doing to our masculines. And so pay attention that the next time he comes around, you're giving him just enough, and you're creating an environment. One of the most beautiful things I heard this week talking about Kemetic spirituality was, before the flower can appear, you have to create the environment for it. Okay? So you have to think about the type of relationship you want and the union that you want. And it's going to start off with that first conversation. I think a lot of the things that happened with my catalyst and I still remember where some of the toxicity happened in the beginning. And because of, like I said, he's Pisces, you cannot do that with Pisces. um, it put him into a space where he didn't feel his heart space was safe. And then because of time, we were able to wear some of the things down. But you're going to have to think of what it means to salvage it. And I think you're going to talk to them differently, knowing that you are having, what I'm trying to say is you're having conversation 1 with the mind of what conversation 2 and 3 and 4 will 5 will look like. So right now, the way some of you are lashing out at your masculines is you're dumping everything from the past, and you give 0 F's about conversation number 2, number 3, week 1, week 2, week 3, trimester 1, trimester 2, birth, giving birth. So think about what's really important, and think about the message of love that you really want to imprint onto him, and that it's just enough for him to circle back, to be magnetized back. One way to do it is to be playful. Tap into what it means to be feminine. Tap into what it means to be carefree. A fun one for you to listen to is if you go and you listen to my, I did a podcast on For the Divine Masculine talking about the Venus. The Venus in his natal chart will tell him the type of wife he's looking for. I had done that for Divine Masculines, but if you are listening to this, I want you to go listen to that, because it's going to give you an idea of what our Divine Masculines crave in their counterpart, and what it is that they love about their Divine Feminine. I almost wish that you could meet my karmics, my ex, my catalyst, his Divine Feminine, because she embodies the femininity. But if you listen to that podcast, you're gonna hear the different layers of what femininity looks like, the traits they're looking for in their wife. And again, we're talking about a natal chart. So with the Venus placement, this is who their soul contracted to love. This is who their soul craves to love and hold in the heart space of a wife, right? I want you to listen to that and to hear the feminine traits. And what I love about it is that there's the 12 different signs. So you're not confined to Divine Feminine is holier than thou, and virgin and pure. There's a feminine for every one of your masculines, right? And I want you to explore what that means. Don't just listen to what it is for your sign, listen to all 12 of the signs. And that's going to give you an idea of how to engage and be feminine with your Divine Masculine. One of them was talking about, I think it was the Venus in Leo. He likes his woman to dress good, look good, and have the self-confidence. If I remember correctly, the Venus in Taurus, he likes his woman to love being at home, and he loves the maternal aspect of her, the mothering aspect of her. Venus in, was it Venus in Leo too? There's one of them that the Divine Masculine, he loves a woman that, Venus in Pisces. That Divine Feminine just goes with the flow. She's always up for an adventure. Very soft and sweet. Venus in Scorpio was mysterious. I'm Scorpio, but my Venus is not in Scorpio. But anyways, the point is, the type of man that's attracted to a Venus in Scorpio, has Venus in Scorpio in his placement, is going to be drawn to somebody who's mysterious, and he likes to chase after that type of woman. Venus in Gemini, that's the type of man that's attracted to a woman that's intellectual, cerebral. Okay? I want you to tap into that. You know, go ahead, listen to your tarot cards, but I want you to watch one less tarot reading, and be on the phone with your masculine. If you were like I was, you were watching them day in, day out, when I should have been having those text messages, because up until we got into separation, the door was always open. So from the good morning text, I should have been able to have a flow with him into how is lunch and dinner, um, and so then now you're into a flow together, and it's almost like there's no room for separation at that point. I keep talking a lot about the 3D, 4D, and 5D, and I apologize to those of you who are listening to each progression of podcast. I'm looking at the time, I have 4 minutes left, but I think what it's coming down to is I'm going to make a separate podcast, kind of letting you know where you are in terms of the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, the manifesting, coming into union, what separation looks like in the 3D versus the 5D, and I'm gonna have to do a separate podcast on that one. And I think it will be helpful to you. Yeah. So that's it. As I'm wrapping up here, what do I want you to take away from this? Girl, boy, I want you to be into union with your divine masculine. I want you to get this thing, love. I want some twin flame grandbabies. Some healthy twin flame babies to come out of this. I really want for you to be the best version of yourself, for your masculine. I look forward to the day when I'll start to get pictures and thank you notes from you who've been listening to me and say, something you said helped me to come into union with my masculine. And it's helped me to be a better woman, a better man, a better mother. And this is how I'm making a difference. This is how I'm adding to the collective. This is my mission. If I had to do it all over again, I would be tapping into how my divine masculine feels from his, there's a saying, from my lips to God's ears. And that's funny because going back to going to church, you asking him how he feels in the relationship needs to be from your lips to your divine masculine ears. And recognize he's a fingerprint the same way he has a fingerprint. You need to tap into your baby's heart because he needs you. Don't worry about what's going on in the collective. We're all in this together. What matters is, what does your divine masculine need from you? I love each one of you. Until the next one.